Right, Sam. So we've basically got Chris Millard in now. I think it's the fourth or fifth podcast today. I like to obviously batch them in, get them all done, get in the podcast spirit, and really kind of plough through as many as possible. This is a bit of a different one, this one, because and for example, Chris has actually only just started with us personally, but he's obviously been in our system for a while, and I can't remember at first. I'll ask you in a minute in terms of the first time we had contact, because in essence, when Chris inquired, I think probably last year, I was still doing some inquiry calls for CP education at that point, and I basically took the call with Chris, and I was like, and I literally said on that call, I said, right, I would suggest going to the CP Academy based on where you are right now, and this is what I suggest that you do. But even on that initial call, I was like, I would love to work with you. And for example, like obviously he's now come into the scale company package kind of with us, but I saw like a massive amount of potential straight away, just in terms of what he's like as a person, which you'll meet in a second. Like now, especially with the brand that we're creating, the culture and community that he's kind of got. But yeah, just as a bit of a starting point before we dive into some questions, do you want to just introduce yourself? Like, what have you done in your career? Like, who have you been? What experiences have you had? Like, absolutely anything, just as a bit of starting point before we dive into specifics on that side.
Yeah, so my name's Chris, and I've not been doing this for that long, actually. So I got my level 2, level 3 qualification in lockdown, and then when we came out of lockdown, I started teaching classes. And then I was given an opportunity presented to actually do some PT in person, sort of at the back end of 2021. And I sort of ran with that. But at the time, that PT was at a gym where I was the only PT. So I didn't really have... It was great in so much as I had this exclusive access to all of these clients, and like I was fully booked really quickly, and definitely learnt loads as far as like how bodies move, and it was like an invaluable part of my journey as far as my fitness coaching goes. But I never really had the peer support system to be able to continue my own development and actually develop as a coach and be able to offer the best results to my clients that I wanted to. So there were so many agencies and mentors who were shouting about scaling my business and, how to, nail a bulletproof sales call, etc. But I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Yeah. So like, I wanted to be the best coach that I could be for my existing clients before thinking about actually getting in more clients through the door. So I just really was struggling to actually develop that, and I just couldn't find resources. I was downloading all sorts of hypertrophy guides and watching all sorts of YouTube videos, but I needed the academy, which is what I eventually found, and obviously looked over the syllabus, and I was like, this is it. This is the blueprint to coaching success. This is how I become the results-focused coach that I want to be, so that I can then scale competently. So I reached out to you and we talked, and we kind of started to put together, I think in that call, almost like a bit of a roadmap. I was like, I need to get my competence to where it needs to be able to service these clients in the best way possible, and then let's have a look at scaling with scale. Yeah,
it's like, obviously when Chris, not many people have that mindset, right? So first thing I'm going to say is, normally, it's someone in Chris's position will turn around and go, yeah, I want the sales blueprint. I'm not bothered about it. I just become a high-performance coach. And most of the time, people come back to the same problem down the line. They've made loads of sales, but they can't keep clients because they're not getting results, and obviously not getting retention in place because they're not actually performing at the right level. So like when Chris came on, I was like, look, even though I knew in that moment, I was like, I want to work with this guy, but he's not ready for it. And I have the same conversation with people all the time, because a lot of the time, like, it's the same as any company. My personal brand is normally the biggest buy-in for CP education, and people want to come and work with me. And I'm like, it's different what we do with the coach consultant, really different, which we'll dive into in a second. But like with the CP Academy, especially now, it's like, right, we've built out two different kind of main areas. You've obviously got scaling systems and you've got high performance coaching. Because in reality, if you learn how to become a high performance coach with the scaling systems attached, then you can get yourself up to a really, really good level without having to come in and throw stupid money at a mentor, right? That's a cheap online course, which is a ridiculous amount of value. And you're in the community for the long run. Because like the benefits are, like Chris is now obviously with us. He was at the perfect point of investment for the academy. Now he's obviously still part of the academy, still part of the new updates, still part of the new webinars, still part of the articles, the free calls on that side, but now he's got the one-to-one component with us, and he did it in a really, really smart way, and I was absolutely buzzing when the conversation came back around. It was like, right, what's next? And I was like, mint. And I'd actually only just released Scale Program because I saw there a massive gap from the academy to company package, not in just in terms of like the price and stuff like that, but what someone actually needs. And we basically outlined, right, so this is where we are right now. This is where we are kind of moving forwards for Chris. And we're really setting something and setting the tone for what is new coming in. Because I said, like, one of Chris's biggest assets is his background, is his experiences, both good and bad, which we'll talk about in a second. And I was like, we need to create a brand and a culture and a community around who you are as a person and what your beliefs are. And that's the main thing that I really want with the coach consultant. So, for example, like, as a starting point now, just as one question, how would you suggest, so for some advice, someone who's on our CP Academy moving into the coach consultant, what's the difference? Because from your perspective as obviously a student and now a client, what's the difference? Like how can someone differentiate between the two?
So I think that with the academy, you've got all of the resources in the academy in order to build a successful business, to be competent in what you're delivering, to deliver a service with integrity and actually get results. You've got, like, I'm still like you just said, like, you're constantly, I can't keep up, like, you're constantly putting things in there as well. And it really, for me, like, the priorities were I knew where my weaknesses were. So I prioritized those modules, and any blind spots, surfaced as well. With the academy, I think if I had that under my belt and just that, I could definitely grow my business. But I think what I knew was that the consultancy would be able to do that a lot faster.
Yep.
So you've got, I've essentially got a team of people that are experts in their field. That is, in itself an asset, but also it's, I've freed up capacity to be able to focus on other things. And I want to be able to grow my business a lot quicker than I would have been able to with the knowledge that would have enabled me to do it, but not as quickly as I can now with like, we're talking about, like, this is a 20-week program. Like, I just wouldn't, what we're envisaging, what we're planning to deliver, it just wouldn't happen in that time.
Years. Like I said, this is what I say to people all the time. I'm like, I've achieved what I've done because of these guys in this office. Like, I wouldn't be able to perform on a business level, financial level, if it wasn't for this staff. And all we did is replicate that into the agency. And with scale, you just don't obviously get the CRM systems and stuff in, but you don't actually need that at that point. If you want to be coming in and smashing 10, 15 grand a month, you don't even need to go crazy on kind of the automation CRM systems yet. So, for example, this is the fun part now. So this, obviously, where he's come from, what he's doing. A brief bit about kind of who he is. What is the brand?
So,
because we were struggling with honestly, like, oh my God. It's very normally I can go at bang and come up with something really, really quickly and have a good idea for it. But because this is such a niche community, but also a niche part of a community. So it needs the right name and right type of energy. So I'll just literally let Chris explain how you want.
Yeah, so we landed on, and I'm so happy with it, it's called Outfit.
Yes.
Which is just absolutely deadly. Some of the names you were coming up with before that were not they were not that cute.
Yeah, proper ludicrous, but because we basically said we wanted something out there. So obviously a play on words coming out. We wanted something out there, but obviously it needed to fit in with who Chris is within that community. I think that's the best way to describe it, because obviously you've got loads of different types of people, the same as you've got loads of different types of people in that community, and he's like, and Chris was like, no, I want to appeal to a certain specific type of person, so like outfit kind of fits it. So I want you to basically now explain to me what outfit means to you, and why it means something to you based on your experiences, your background, both good and bad, and what you basically want from this company and this new brand.
Yeah, so I mean, when you talk about, I'm gay, when you talk about coming out, really it's the idea of coming out and being who you really are. And, you know, my story is one of drinking a lot, using, and just you're really in a bad place and no direction, no purpose, low self-esteem, not taking care of myself, hitting a rock bottom, and then at that point realizing something's got to change. I wasn't myself. I didn't feel like who I really was. And so I then made the decision to start investing in my training. And I was so fortunate to be able to find a community that embraced me and supported me and encouraged me and motivated me. And I found a lot of joy in my training, and a lot of healing came from my training and from that community. And suddenly I found myself on the other side of the fence. And so that's really all, that's my story. That's really all I've known. That was my savior. And that's what I want. That's my blueprint to success. That's what I want to create with Outfit. I want guests to leverage the power of investing in yourself, in training, in community, in progress and resilience, in order to
truly come out,
create
like, truly,
create the best life possible and come out as who you really are.
Yeah. Not just say it like, because I've got loads of gay friends. Like, I've been on some fucking mental nights out. Like, Jesus Christ, like, this is what people think. Like, within the gay community, they have, and I'm talking heavily hit partying, drinking, drugs, like, because what you got to take into account is within that community, a lot of people, they're not going to express themselves in a certain way. And obviously when you are intoxicated with drink, you can, and you're in a specific club for obviously specific gay men, you can obviously become who you want to be. And for example, even with drink, for example, you then move into the next extreme of drugs. And it's like, this is what I'm trying to say about, this is why I said with Chris, I said, because obviously he's in Manchester. And I was like, it's absolutely massive in Manchester, and it's a massive partying scene in Manchester. And I said, and I knew all this, and I said, mate, if your story and your experiences, if you've got an absolute ridiculous captivated audience where you can show clear proof in getting people out of the weekend cycle, going in, and the only time they can be themselves is when they're hammering themselves on a Saturday night, but they're on a come down for the next 3-4 days afterwards. Like, you can come in and show change with that. You can come in and you can talk about that, because that's going to trigger such a massive response for that community. Because like Chris has said, he said it absolutely perfect there. Like, you can be gay but not come out properly. Like, coming out is coming out 7 days a week, not just when you're off your tits, right? And for example, he can now, or he's obviously part of a group, part of a community within obviously that area in that fitness industry. And I was like, mate, you need to create your own. And create your own under like what Outfit truly is. And we're at that stage now where we've got the brand and it looks incredible. Now we've got the brand, we can obviously create the pillars and we can create the content strategy and the marketing. But as you can see in this conversation right now, that brand is going to mean as much to him now as it will do in 10 years. Because it's built on his experiences and what he wants, and also what he wants to change. Like, I can't remember the quote of what it is, but it's like, obviously you don't work to wait, was it? You don't work to make a living to make, I don't know, something along those lines. But basically, like, they're really important to understand that you have like meaning behind what you are doing, rather than just kind of coming and doing it for the sake of it. And that's basically the stage in which we're at with kind of Chris now. But for example, how much more confident do you feel as a whole for what you're about to do now compared to what 6 weeks ago, for example?
Oh yeah, like, without a doubt. I mean, for having gone through the academy, definitely. Like, since we kicked things off a few weeks ago, you know, you guys move fast.
It's intense.
Work so quickly, and, you know, being able to speak the same language and, you know, actually to work at the pace that, you know, you're keeping me busy, definitely. But I definitely, and I'm preparing for with absolute confidence because I've seen the way that you work. For, when we launch, it's going to be mega. And so I know that had I not gone through the academy, I wouldn't have the same confidence as I do today for when we launch in the next few weeks. Like, I'm ready for that now. So yeah, definitely. And I think like actually locking in what the brand is and kind of putting that on paper as well has definitely helped.
Yeah, and it's like one of them situations now, which is a question I had down. Imagine that Chris had come in and he'd not created his specific company offer around the community, around the pain points and triggers what we just spoke about, and he didn't have a brand. When it came into content creation, what's he going to fucking post about? What type of things are we going to talk about on marketing? So, for example, for you right now, from a content creation perspective, like if you look and think, right, for the next 3 months, how many different really specific topics could you come in and speak about now compared to what you'd done before, where you didn't really have a clear brand identity or even put like professional identity? It was always about like people followed you because of your personal reasons, but if we want to be hitting the masses, we've got to create that kind of culture. So like, how much more confident do you feel now from a content creation perspective, now you've got this kind of structure and clear direction?
Oh yeah, totally. Like, you'll hear it all the time. People say you need to double down on a niche, but it's like, I know, like, I had a lot of resistance in that for a long time because, my core values are set in inclusion, and I thought I can't have a niche. Like, I'm going to close myself off to people. But I guess coming to the realization that actually I can't be the best coach to every single person. Yeah. I know how to support gay men. I enjoy supporting gay men, and I've got the lived experience to be able to relate to their journey, where they've been, where they want to get to. So for me now, having this niche, having this awareness, being confident in that is, I know the pain points, I know what I need to talk to, I know where they want to get to, I know what I need to talk to. I can actually spark a connection and have a really meaningful conversation that is ultimately going to go somewhere, rather than just talking to everybody and talking to nobody. I'm actually getting traction now from what I'm posting and the conversations that I'm having.
Yeah, it's the quality. I probably say this in every single podcast today, but it's the importance of the quality of the lead coming through, not the quantity of it. Because, like, for me, I went through a bit of things when I was a coach, and I say I preach about niches now. Like, when I was a coach, I worked with fucking everyone, and I hated social media because I didn't know what to post about. Whereas now, I'm like, obviously, years down the line, fucking decade down the line, I don't mind social media. I don't mind talking on video. I don't mind stuff like that because I'm talking about people like Chris. I'm talking about high performance people. I'm talking about high performance companies. I'm talking about stuff that I've got passion about. But if you don't come in and solidify kind of a niche and talk about that, then you're not going to enjoy content creation. You're not going to enjoy building lead generation resources. You're not going to enjoy the process. And obviously, leads coming through aren't going to be your ideal client. So it's not going to take long until you're going to think, do you know what? Fuck this. I kind of can't be arsed with it anymore. So it's like when you're looking at building a niche, like, don't be afraid to go out there. Like, I remember, like, because obviously you've seen that, Chris, what, I should just have it all focused on gay men. Like, fucking yeah, mate, because you've got a captivated audience right there. You've got every single tool, every single experience, and every single, like, personal buy-in to that type of person, and you're going to love working with them. I said, because, like, what you got to think from, like, Chris's perspective here is, like, you throw back 5-6 years ago and you remember going to a club and seeing people and thinking they're just literally drinking or putting themselves into a hole for the sake of it. And you've got the passion to think, I'm going to help those people. I'm going to help someone who used to be me. Because it's the same as what I'm like. For example, I love helping people because once upon a time, I was at the bottom of the triangle, proper rock bottom of the triangle. And I've made it to the top of it from a financial, from a background, from who I used to be compared to who I am now is a total 360 effect. And that's what gives me passion to help people within business because they can create something for themselves where, like, they're putting the whole life and mindset into a totally different position. And it's like for you right now, like, there's the potential of what this company's got is absolutely frightening, mate. And obviously, it just comes down to delivery, confidence, and kind of actionables from that point. So when we kind of come to the next phase of this, I want I asked someone else's question earlier, but I think it'd be really good for you to answer it as well. How would you prepare? So for someone who's either done the academy or someone who's never had a mentor or something like that, how would you prepare to come and work with us as an agency?
I think, how would I prepare?
Because, like I said, it's very different to what's kind of out there. Like I said, this is what I get the same question all the time, where it's like you've got obviously mentors doing one-to-one, you've got these blueprints and stuff like that, but we don't work on that level. We work on obviously a real heavy one-to-one kind of case, and sometimes people are taken back by it. So if you're going to do a bit of advice for someone coming into the system we do, how would you say that they handle it?
I think like I'm definitely trying to lean into, like, you know, you guys know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like I've come to you because I want to capitalize on your knowledge, your advice. So, you know, I'm really kind of like, there was a name that we were going to call the business. And like, this is the fucking name. Like this sounds so good.
That camp.
Come through.
Oh no!
And you were like, it's shit.
I was like, no, but it's not right. Come through was a concept, and I just went, I get it, but it's not outfit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally. And I'm so glad. And that's the thing. So I think actually listening to what you've got, to trust in what you've got to say, I think is a big one. Actually leaning into and just kind of respecting that you know what you're doing. That's a big one. I think the other one, like I've said before, be prepared to work fast. Like, don't go to New York for a week like I did. It is gonna set you back.
You can still do that. Right? You've got to be ready to kind of get stuff done.
Yeah, no, it's fast. It's a lot of work, but like for me, like I really value having that accountability. Like I love working hard, but I value the accountability. So I'm enjoying being pushed to.
One thing I love. I'm going to jump into this conversation, right? So when we were thinking about names, we were thinking about loads of different names, and someone, I can't remember, I think it was Hannah, who went, "What about camp?" And I was like, and in my head, I was like, "Fuck, like proper like capital CAMP, like proper statement." So like, because obviously it could be a boot camp, it could be whatever. Christian was like, "Fuck that! I'm not saying." Do you know what camp really is? And I was like, I know, wait, what do you mean camp? I just thought it's like the description for someone who's a bit gay, do you know what I mean? Like, and you're like, no, is it for send this video into a group what scarred me for life? I just went, and I was like, oh right, that's what camp is. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, right, we're not calling it that. We're not calling it that.
Camp, wasn't it? Yeah. So like that's the thing with outfit. Like it's definitely gay guys. And eventually, like, the broader community is kind of what I want to tap into with outfit. But at the moment, it's gay guys. And, you know, not that there's anything wrong with the I'm gay and proud group. You know, that's, you know, absolutely fine. But it's just not the group that I was targeting. No. And so I knew that if we went with camp, the guys would just...
Yeah, no, I totally get it. But this is why it's so important to have everything aligned to you personally. Because from an outside perspective, it's like, oh, yeah, that's great. But... as I kind of said, you've got a community and then you've got sub-communities, right? And this is how specific this is. This is like a sub-community within a niche. And that's why it's like, that's why when the more I kind of found out about Chris and what he wanted from it is the more belief that I had in it. Because, for example, the camp, the camp,
some glitter.
Oh, God, yeah, crazy videos. But basically, the camp community probably wouldn't be the one who's going to come in and hammer the gym anyway.
Yeah,
they're probably going to avoid that because they don't want to train. And I would have never imagined that. I'd have been like, oh yeah, do you know what I mean? Just whatever. I know obviously there's different types of people and stuff like that, but like now it's like you've got the people who are coming in and they are probably going to want to go to the gym. They're not going to be concerned about like kind of going in and training in a normal facility because they like they are who they are type thing. For example, the more specific that you've become with that, the more confidence that I've kind of had in it. And we've not even, like I said, it's hard because people... Well, but by the time this is released, we potentially may, or content strategy is going to be very, very specific now. It's back from New York. Brand is obviously going to be kind of released, and we're going to be bringing so much in, like obviously community spaces kind of for this, loads of different functionality. Stuff that I really, really want to look into for Chris is going to be events in Manchester, like fitness focused events, just from a like a brand impact and leverage kind of standpoint, because for example, like Chris is similar to, well, not similar to me because he's got less followers than me on Instagram, but the engagement that he gets is fucking really high. Like, even just from, like, you've got 5,000 followers, have you got?
Less, 2.5.
2,500 followers, but, like, the people who's got on that page, like, the comments that he's getting on posts and stuff, I get fucking 1 or 2 comments on posts. Like, he put a picture, I will laugh, I can't remember what. Oh, yeah, I remember what caption it was, yeah. I remember he put a caption and I was pissing myself, and I was like, I just turned around and I was sat there and I'm going, yes, this is the type of energy that needs to be in our outfit. Has to be fun, it has to be engaging, it has to be welcoming, but it also has to be that point of, it's called fit. You're here to get a job done. So you've got the combination of, obviously Chris did this to come in and be a high performance coach who gets results, and we've got this brand and we've got this culture, and I honestly I cannot fucking wait to kind of come in and like basically just release it all. But kind of moving into another topic. So, for example, like, at what point? So so I want you to imagine now you speak. It's like you're speaking to your old self. You're speaking to a future client. What advice would you give to the old Chris who was in that situation of the yo-yo weekends, who potentially didn't feel that confident with who he was or they was as a person? Like, what's the best advice you could give to that person, your potential client who you're targeting at right now?
It doesn't have to be all or nothing, for starters. I think that, like, I was definitely caught in a trap of being like, well, I have to be fully in it or I'm not in it. Like, I'll say this to my clients today, 80-20 is absolutely fine. If 80% of the time you're, on top of your training, on top of your nutrition, you've got 20% just to let your head down and have a good time, that's grand. Get back on track when you do, fall off the tracks, when you do go out, when you do have a few days where you don't manage to follow the plan, just get back on track. A temporary setback doesn't have to become a permanent one. It's not going to completely derail you if you have a couple of days off. And actually, don't be afraid to ask for help as well. I think that it's totally normal to ask for help. It's totally normal to turn to a source of knowledge and information and experience in order to actually get you closer to where you want to get to. Like, don't put the expectation upon yourself to do it all when there are people that have actually walked the walk and can offer you the support that you need.
Yeah. So what about, and another little dive into that topic there, what about the guys who are using the weekends and using stuff like that to basically avoid because basically I'm trying to relay back to that initial comment of going, outfit is about people truly coming out, right? What's your advice for the people there who are potentially only coming out at a weekend when they are drunk and they are intoxicated?
I think when I was doing that, and I don't want to necessarily knock that, that as a lifestyle choice for people, but I just want to make people aware.
It's awareness. No, there's nothing wrong with it. I love a party every so often. I can't handle it anymore, don't get me wrong, but I love a party every so often.
But I think, like, what I didn't have at that time was an awareness that actually it can be different. Like, I grew up in a small town, and, I'd kind of visualized this kind of like queer as folk lifestyle that I was really aspiring to achieve. As I said, I was living in South Wales, and I wanted to be in Manchester because I wanted to have that party. That's what it felt like to be gay and accepted as gay, was getting fucked up on the weekends. And so that's really all I knew. Whereas I know different now. I know that actually I can find community, and I can actually, because you got to remember, like, as gay people, as people within the LGBTQ plus community, like, we're holding on to a lot of trauma from decades, hundreds and hundreds of years of, shit that we've had to go through. So by, putting so much alcohol and intoxicating ourselves and affecting and fucking up our mental health when we're holding on to that, I don't know, it's just, for me, it was just a recipe for disaster. And I actually was able to do a lot of my healing for actually just taking care of myself. And if you can do 80-20 on that, then you're onto a winner.
Mate, I would say, like, obviously totally different context, but I used alcohol and drugs as as a way out from that, like for trauma that I'd experienced, for how I kind of felt about myself. And like, it's again, there's no difference between a gay man and a straight man in that situation. People use that same outlet, but it's a case of like, it's like when you kind of come in, it's so important to understand that I would genuinely say that it is more popular because it's the partying is more welcoming. People, like for example, a lot of the time in the gay community, a lot of the time people only feel like they've got a safe space is when they're at that bar, because when they're at work, it's not like that. When they're walking down the street in their area, it's not like that. So they get 5-6 hours on a Saturday night in a fucking rave with all people in the same feeling, same space as them. They're going to come in and let loose. And it's really, really easy to create a culture around partying and drugs when that's the only time someone feels safe.
Totally. Like, historically, like, bars have been the only safe spaces for gay people. So a big part of gay culture is in the bars because that's kind of where that was safe haven for a long time. And so that's really stuck. That's why there is such a prevalent drinking culture within the gay community. So that's why people gravitate towards it. That's a big part of why people gravitate towards it.
100%. Right, Sam, I'm going to wrap one more question. So what is this is what I mean, total 360 started CP Academy now in scale. In the next 12 months, what are your main goals for Outfit, even before you've obviously released it now?
So obviously what we're doing over the next couple of months is kind of priority one. So just making sure that we've got all of the right systems and processes in place so that, obviously delivering a personalized service to every client, but just where we can, creating predictable systems, predictable processes to create where we need to a predictable result, and actually creating operational efficiencies that's going to free me up time to better support my clients and more clients. But and obviously as well, there's a lot of lead gen work that we're putting in to support with getting those clients in. But as I mentioned, my values are still really deeply rooted in inclusion, and we create that through diversity. And whilst at the moment, like my niche, like who I can best support is gay men, but I'd love for Outfit to be expanded out into the broader LGBTQ plus community. Like trans people are really under supported at the moment. I'd love to get a coaching team in who can support that demographic as well better than I might be able to. So yeah, like I'd love to get the team expanded and working more within the community more broadly is what I see.
My goal, and one of the first questions I said, Chris said, who's really doing what you're doing? And we named a couple of people, and I was like, in my head, the first thing I thought, I said, I want Chris to literally take over Manchester for that scene, and that's we've got one goal, one objective, and we do everything in his power to kind of achieve that. But yeah, obviously, ridiculous work.
Yeah, because Outfit, like as I said, Outfit, the ethos that's kind of underpinning Outfit is that you come in and you're, like we said, leveraging your training, leveraging this investment in order to come out and be yourself. So, eventually where we're going to get to, it's not just going to be gay men, it's really anybody that wants to come out and be themselves, and
100%.
That's who we're looking to target.
Right. Incredible. Like honestly, I think that people really enjoy that one, but obviously you can see a progression from academy into scale. He'll 100% be getting company involved with CRM soon, like based on what he's like now and based on how he'll grow. But it's going to be an exciting time, so do follow Chris on social media. It's just going to be an exciting journey, great content, really kind of fun, good energy, and thanks for coming on, bro.
Thanks.